Hello, gamers. This is Gamers Galaxie, episode 35. My name is WT, and I've got a very, very special guest with us today from Chibi Clash. Chibi Clash. I love saying that name, and the legendary Rubik is with me as also. I know you like this game as well. How are you doing, brother?
I'm very good. I'm excited about this interview for sure because this is the game I've played the most in Web3 for a long time. So looking forward to digging deep into it and finding out more.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. I'm right there too. Like, I've been in Web3 for over 3 years now, and I've played a handful of games. And this is probably one of the most fun, simplest, but addictive games I've played. And I've been playing it for hours and hours at a time. Chibi Clash. With us today in my upper right-hand corner is Wago. Wago, how are you today, my friend?
I am great. I'm blushing just hearing you guys singing praises for Chibi Clash and how much fun you guys are having. So I know, very happy to be here. Very happy to be speaking with you guys. And like I said, super happy to hear that you guys are enjoying the game.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell us about yourself and your role with Chibi Clash and the general TLDR of it.
Yeah, excuse me. I got a bit of a cough. Still recovering from GDC last week, so I do apologize if I coughed during the recording session. But my name is Ted, aka Wago. That's the name I go by, on social media, Discord, and my gamer tag as well. So my background's before coming to Web3 was in mobile gaming. So previously worked for companies like Zynga, built a lot of mobile games. So for me, it was really all about producing fun, fast gaming experiences people can just jump right into, and I think Survivor really represents a lot of that. And so I've been working and building mobile games with roles in business and marketing, and then later in production for the past, I would say, 7 to 8 years. Also dove a little bit into esports, and eventually decided to kind of venture out and start my own business. And so it was during the COVID times in 2021 where everyone was kind of stuck staying at home, and that was when I really fell in love and started deep diving into the crypto blockchain space. So, started as a collector like many other people, bought a lot of NFTs, whether they be art or, PFPs, and then, of course, later gaming. So that really kind of opened up my eyes when I discovered how big an audience games like Galaxie had back in the days. And so got in touch with a lot of people that were building in the space and realized that, actually, their backgrounds are quite similar to myself in that they were also veterans in the gaming space and identified this new opportunity and this new ecosystem where gamers that were previously kind of overlooked, gamers in Southeast Asian countries, gamers that really wanted to own a piece of the digital ecosystem that they're a part of, were kind of being taken advantage of in the kind of traditional gaming ecosystem, right? Where they spend thousands upon thousands of dollars, buying in-game items and not getting a penny for it. And once the server shuts down, that's the end of it. And so that really brought me into Web3 gaming and inspired me to start our own project. And so that led to Chibi Clash. We minted out an NFT collection towards late 2021. Later joined up with the Alliance Accelerator. So that's one of the top Web3 accelerators that have onboarded a lot of top DeFi and Web3 gaming projects. And then later we had a token fundraise that was completed in early 2022. And so since then, we've just been building through the bear market. And 2021, I would say that I was quite new to the space. And it was a lot of kind of tough learning lessons, understanding not just blockchain technologies, right? But what is it about Web3 that can add gaming experiences to games, basically, and what value are we contributing to our end users? And so, for the past, I would say 18 to 24 months, it's just been a lot of building and rethinking and redefining what it means to be a Web3 project and what we hope to accomplish if we want to really reach the goal as being a top tier Web3 gaming project. And so, right now, I would say we're entering the second phase of what Chibi Clash is about. So you guys have obviously had a taste of Clash of Survivor, but the exciting thing is that this is just one of many gaming experiences that we will be launching with Chibi Clash. So yeah, I guess that's a kind of recap of everything that we've been doing up to this point. But yeah, before diving further, I guess I'll take a pause there for additional questions.
Yeah, actually a question about your answer there. Like you said, you've spent 18 to 24 months reiterating over how the blockchain is going to be implemented. Are you at the end game of what that looks like now, or you still think there's got lots of iterations to do?
Yeah, I would say for us, it's a bit of an end to the beginning. It's been quite a journey building for the bear market. And I think it was honestly a great journey for me personally, right? Because once, when we were building in the bull market, and I would say 2021 peak felt even more crazy than the energy that we have right now, right? Right. I think right now we're kind of at the precipice of another bull run, hopefully. But as people are getting excited, I think that their expectations are still somewhat grounded. Whereas 2021, I think there was definitely like full on euphoria. Like everyone was like, whoa, like we have to get in any project that launches, basically, right? And so I would say, looking back, I definitely took some, I wouldn't say bad advice, but maybe advice from people that were more knowledgeable on the DeFi space or more knowledgeable on the kind of blockchain tech space, but didn't know too much about gaming. And I think over the past 1.5, 2 years, as we learned more about, what we can do with blockchain tech, and of course over the past year with AI, we realized that like there is a sweet spot for the marriage between blockchain tech, with the current infrastructure of a lot of the layer twos. I'm sure we'll be diving into that, talking about that a little bit more. The current ecosystem of the games and the challenges with onboarding users who might be not native to blockchain, but are interested in the games, but also serving those that are Web3 native and care about the digital assets that they hold. And we've seen that with the games that were launched in the last cycle, right? Like how do you build a sustainable, healthy gaming ecosystem that can attract gamers and I would say investors alike, and keep them engaged over long periods of time, right? So I think that was the big question we wanted to be able to address as we built out this project. So yeah, again, deviating from the question a little bit, but we definitely put a lot of thought into what we're executing now with Chibi Clash. And so this phase 2 is really the accumulation of all the work that we've put in building this project over the past 2 years.
Yeah, that's quite a bit there. We see some of the Asian themes obviously in the game. Is there a specific genre of influence that this game comes from? I have played games like this in the past, just not on desktop, and to this kind of addictive style to where I just want to keep playing it. I just want to try to keep getting up those leaderboards. Where did you guys come up with this idea, or what kind of influences made you to go this route?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 ways that I would like to explain the inspiration for the project, right? One is obviously the theme. So when we first started the collection and we wanted to build something that had appeal to both East and West. And so one of the things that we wanted to go for is chibi art. So I'm not sure, are you guys familiar with the word chibi?
No. I just like saying it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the word itself, like even if you don't know what it means, it's just kind of catchy, right? But chibi actually means refers to the type of art that you see in our game. So basically, it's a Japanese word, but it's used in kind of modern English language, and it basically refers to this drawing portion in which the head's basically as big as the body, right? And so you see that in a lot of games like MapleStory is chibi art, or other projects that you see with like very cutesy big head. Hello Kitty, it can be considered chibi, and so even the Japanese like anime or manga that you see that look really, really realistic, like even like Dragon Ball or Gundam or I don't know, like One Piece or whatever, right?
Okay.
Every now and then you might see a style of the art in which there's like a extra cute big head version of it, and so that's chibi. And so basically Chibi Clash is this kind of chibi cutesy art style of these characters that um, you know are are part of this big kingdom. And then the kind of lore and inspiration of the kingdom is honestly like through a lot of the popular kind of Chinese mythology or Chinese historical stories like Romance of Three Kingdoms, Journey to the West. So taking inspiration from those themes that are already quite well known in the kind of Eastern world, but also well known to Western gamers that play games like Dynasty Warriors, right? So we've gotten a lot of people that play the game are like, oh yeah, that's Lu Bu from Dynasty Warriors, right? They might not know the history, but they know the character from the games. So that's the background with the characters and the story and the setting of the world. And in terms of the gameplay itself, so I was kind of alluding to this a little bit earlier. My background's in mobile gaming, so we're great at designing experiences that are meant to be quickly consumed, fun, with a lot of replayability, right? And that's why people play mobile games for years upon years now, is because it doesn't feel like it's like playing I don't know, like League of Legends, right? Where each match is going to be at least like 30-40 minutes, if not longer. And after you play one match, you might get angry because you lost or someone was being toxic or whatever, and you leave with a very frustrated feeling, right? And what we wanted to accomplish with our game is that these are short experiences that you can just quickly jump into, compete for the leaderboard, and if you have a bad run, you don't feel bad about it. You feel like, you know what, I think I can do better next time, and you want to jump right back into
Yes.
another game, right? So that's kind of what we wanted to accomplish with the gameplay.
Oh, mission accomplished. And thanks for teaching me that. I know exactly, when you started telling me, I was like, oh yeah, okay. The culture that you're talking about with that style of animation, I don't know it all in great detail, but yes, this does look like that. And I didn't know it had a specific term. So now I learned something today, and thank you.
It's kind of like a bit like Dynasty Warrior, isn't it? Where you because Dynasty Warrior is the game where you're like Chinese like general or something. You can go and slaughter like heaps and heaps of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it can't not the same gameplay style, but it's the actual same idea, isn't it? Where you're versing heaps of different various enemy types and how to different strategies needed to think about how to approach each one. Yeah, okay. Bit of influence from Dynasty Warriors there. I actually played that game a fair bit. I loved it. So the core game loop right now is the Chibi Clash Survivor. That's the main one game available. You said you're having multiple game modes. Are those game modes in development now, or are they about to drop? Where are we up to with them? And are you able to drop any alpha or any hints on what the next one might be?
Yeah, absolutely. So our project's been around for a while, and to be honest, there's been a lot of changes and the evolution of what started from day one to where we are now. So for the people that have been with us since day one, they've seen the project grow and change and pivot over time. And so our initial game actually was an auto battler game, and so that was the initial inspiration. And it was also based on the idea that we want to have leaderboard competitive gameplay that people can come back and feel like there's something different each time, right? I think this was one goal that I have always had. I want people to feel like each gaming session playing the same game feels different. It's not like running the same deck in a CCG game, right? Or using the same gun in an FPS. We wanted to keep things fresh, and so the idea of an auto battler game is that there's different formations and synergies with troops, and you're fighting against different opponents, and so it keeps things refreshing. But while the gameplay was relatively fun, we felt that it was a little bit too slow paced, and most importantly, it didn't really fit a Web3 economy. When we did that initial design, we were, and like a lot of other projects, where we're looking at Axie Infinity as the benchmark. We're like, okay, you know what, we can do Axie but better, right? We can have ELO leaderboards and whatnot. And then we realized that, like, this is not the right way to approach building a Web3 gaming project. And so then repurposed the auto battler game, and so we want to add mechanics that made the game more fun, more innovative, and more kind of making use of a game being in the Web3 ecosystem. And so we still have a mobile game that I would say is currently in late production. So it's actually going to be ready for alpha playtests in the coming months. So the auto battler game is now what we called a backpack auto battler. And so there's a game on Steam that I make reference to, not because we copied them, but because literally they had the very similar idea of gamifying the backpack mechanic. So if you're familiar with games like Resident Evil, Tarkov, or Diablo 3, items have different sizes, right? And so what the gameplay is about is that you upgrade the power of the hero through equipping items on your hero's backpack. So equipping swords, shields, and your hero becomes not just stronger, but you might also activate some abilities that the hero can use in battle. And so it's a very passive gameplay in which you equip equipment items on your hero, and then you send him to battle, and he basically battles against another opponent who also has his own backpack, right? And so basically you have this clash of, okay, who can put together the best backpack so that your hero can win in this head-to-head battle. So that's the next game that's coming that will be on mobile. And it's a contrast from Survivor, which is a lot more fast-paced, more action-based, where this one is more strategic, slow-paced. So we want something that can kind of hit different target audiences while belonging in the same ecosystem. But honestly, the thing that excites me most is actually our meta game. So, by definition, meta game is a game that exists on top of the game. So when you enter kingdoms, that's essentially the foundation of the meta game, right? So you have this kingdom in which you can hover over. You have different plots of land that you can interact with. So hint, land usually can be owned. But right now, actually, just as of today, we launched our first mini game on the kingdom. So in the spirit of Easter, there is this egg hunt that's going on, and so people can just click around and by luck and chance, you might be able to discover a mystery mini egg, right? So it's a very simple game experience, but what we want to do is start to showcase that, like this is not just any map, right? This is a map with, Gen AI and its foundation, in which in the future we can be deploying all sorts of really cool gameplay experiences on top of this land. So again, very different than jumping right into a Survivor, right? But outside of Survivor, if you want to take a rest, take a break, and you just want to roam around the plots of lands and check out what's happening, interact with NPCs, this is going to be that meta game for you to be able to do so. So yeah, that's all going to be part of Chibi Clash, and what we want to accomplish is to have something for everyone within this gaming ecosystem.
Wow,
interesting. You said there's ability to hunt right now on the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you enter kingdoms and you click around the lands, you can basically start searching for Easter eggs, or what we call mystical eggs.
Okay, so if I go a little bit vague all of a sudden, it's because I'm focusing on Easter hunting. Sorry about
that.
Yeah, I seen that post. I was wondering. I thought it was. I was mistaken. I thought you had just had to play Survivor and you might have a random chance of getting the drop. I didn't know you could go to the actual map and just click around. I'm going to have to check that out later if I get time, for sure. Yeah, you said a lot of cool things there, for sure. I'm going to have to ask later on about the land part of it. I've had lots of questions and thoughts about what does land do. But one of the things you said about earlier, you wanted to keep the game fresh and not be the same thing every single time. So I think this might answer this question. We got a community question. The question is, the random equipment and spell allocations each round of Survivor, is that going to stay as is or will it change? And what they think they mean is, so like each round you can pick either better crit, better attack speed, better AoE damage via whichever one you pick, like it's lightning or that rolling ball. That's random right now. Is that plan on staying random? And I kind of think it is, but I want to hear your thoughts on that for that question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And I'll give a bit of a background on this design specifically. So, yeah, I think it was yeah, Rubik, you said it right. They were meant to be NFTs actually, and so the initial plan was actually to start introducing the item NFTs as part of the survivor gameplay. So, all the smart contracts and everything is ready, but we wanted to make sure that we build up the game to have enough content before we introduce this NFT collection because, the last thing we want to do is like, to launch a collection. People are like, oh, okay, well, how do I get this? How do I get that? And this is a kind of mismatch between supply and demand. And I think that's the first thing. And the second thing as well is we want to make sure that the game is at a fun enough state. So, it's great that we're getting this feedback, but for us, it's also important to make sure that okay, you know what, are people just saying that this now because it still feels refreshing? Excuse me. How do we get more content in there, right? So, for example, when we did our first playtest, I don't know if you guys were part of the first playtest, but it was a bit of a disaster in terms of bugs. There were so many bugs with logging in scores and of course, like hacks and cheats and things like that. And so, from a game development perspective, we don't want to introduce the kind of full mechanics until we get those things sorted. So I would say right now the game's in a relatively good state. We saw with the last playtest when I was down at GDC that people were playing live, they weren't running into any issues, and people were generally enjoying the game. So I think this gives us the confidence to start moving forward with a more long-term concrete plan of how to manage and introduce those items. But at the same time, I think what we saw that was kind of unexpected is that people kind of enjoy that RNG factor, right? So it gets kind of dull if you're bringing the same items into battle each and every time. If you own it, yes, you can kind of find your right synergy with the right items, but ultimately there will be some that's more OP than others, right? So I think right now behind the scenes, we're also kind of thinking about okay, how do we find that right balance between giving people control over the items that they own versus still keeping that RNG factor in which when you enter battle there is still a chance that you can maybe make use of a temporary item that can give you a boost. So to be determined. We're always open to feedback, but yeah, we're experimenting with a few designs right now.
Cool, very cool.
It's you could make it that if you own an NFT of the thing that gets allocated, it like it can give you a boost to it or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
By the way, I just got a mystic egg. You beauty. So I'm back to focus on the interview now. Where we're up to. Okay, what is the long-term vision of the game? So you've given us a pretty good idea of that already. So where do you see, like, 5 years in the track? What would be ideal for you to see the game at, like game modes, or anything you want to expand on that?
Yeah, and so the way that we're approaching our development is that we want growth to be dynamic and community driven, right? And I think this is one of the biggest learning lessons for me personally in Web3. I think a lot of projects and especially a lot of builders that are coming from the Web2 space, they're used to having control, right? They're used to designing everything from beginning to end with everything in place. But that's also an approach where you plan for a beginning and an end. And I think the thing that excites me about building in a decentralized ecosystem, building with AI, is that things are dynamic and you don't know where things are going to go. The way that we approach our project that's different than a lot of other projects out there is that we want to be experimental, right? We don't want to be like, okay, we know everything and we know where everything is going. And so there's a beginning and there's an end. So for us, this is the beginning of a very new and exciting phase because of the fact that we incorporated Gen AI into this metagame. The fact that we have built this ecosystem that allows for additional game experiences to be added into this whole Chibi Clash universe. This kind of opens up a lot of different possibilities for where things go from here, right? So I would say personally, my goal and focus is to kind of push the boundaries of what we can do with kingdoms. So this mini game, 8-game experience is, think of it as like a first small experiment in terms of what can be done with this land that you see. And so imagine all these plots of land are actually powered by this, very, very sophisticated, Gen AI engine that allows us to upgrade the lands. It allows us to dynamically change the theme of the lands from medieval, ancient Asia to cyberpunk, for example, right? The possibility is there for us to experiment with a lot of things that we might not even be able to imagine right now. And so, I think for me personally, I want to continue to push the boundaries of what can be done with Gen AI and Web3 gaming. And that might mean introducing, AI to a game that, can create its own rules for how the game is played, right? It could be something simple as, okay, maybe in the future, I'm not the one determining what happens with the events with Survivor, right? Or what happens with Egg Hunt. Maybe we will allow an AI NPC to be kind of the dungeon master to create some of these rules in the future, right? So there's a lot of things that we want to do and experiment with. But so that's personally what excites me, is that I can't imagine where things will be 5 to 10 years from now. But with that said, we're building under a framework that will allow us to continue to have a fresh approach of introducing gaming experiences, over the course of the coming months and years ahead.
Cool. I got a suggestion. On the leaderboards, we have at the moment have people post their scores into a channel, and it's a fair bit of admin work. It'd be awesome to be able to have a custom leaderboard just for our community, where people put a code in and can see that code and enters them into our competition, and we can just see the leaderboard automated by your back end. Or at the very least, which would be something could be done really quickly, is just have the round, like the actual. This is on a side note, not the same thing. A leaderboard, on the leaderboard score sheet, the actual season it is, so that we can differentiate scores from each season, because I can't verify if someone posts up a score if it's this season or last season's. So I know they could Photoshop it, but that's a lot of effort for a couple IMAX tokens. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think specific to you guys, the community, because I think you guys have done such a great job of running internal competitions. So I hear your pain. I think a big part of what we want to build in the future is also to allow for guilds and communities to have I would say less competition, but actually more like ways to compete against other communities. So that's something that I would say is a goal that we want to accomplish as well. So
that'd be awesome. Yeah, it's been a huge success in our community, and I don't think a lot of people know about this yet. But when the word gets out about these leaderboards and these, because it's like what a 15-minute match if you get really far, roughly, for me at least. It's not too long, very hyper competitive. And if you get it to where people can, do custom tournaments on their own, like private custom tournaments, oh my gosh, I could just see that totally blowing up. Yeah, some big stuff there. We got another community question. You answered most of this already. It does. The question is there plans for clan battles and PvP modes? It sounded like you were already implying with the backpack portion that there is PvP modes. Is there any plan for clan battles at all?
Yeah, so that was kind of what I was alluding to. We definitely want to be able to build something that allows for group styles, guilds to form alliances. The approach of my design for the kingdom is literally like running a medieval kingdom, right? So you have your warlords and you have your alliances, and then you have kingdoms that form through a group of people that want to be together, right? And then you have your warriors who are better at certain battles and ways to play games than others. And so there's a lot of things that we want to be able to explore in the months ahead. But at the same time, like, we don't want to go ahead and just design everything. And I think you can also imagine the pain of a game developer in which, okay, we have all these features we want to implement, but which ones should we prioritize over others, right? So I think first off, like you mentioned, we have to get more players to be excited about the game itself. So once we have that demand of, we have like at least 10 of these communities that are like, okay, we want to be able to do more, then it's like, okay, then it makes sense for us to kind of switch the trigger and tell them that, okay, we have this feature, right? Or of course, we built out the feature and then we do outreach to a lot of the community partners that we have been talking to and basically have lined up. And so, every community operates a little bit differently. And this is something that I'm still trying to discover and get a better sense of in this space, is that there are, and I think, you guys are exceptional in this sense that you guys are a true gamer community, right? You guys actually love and enjoy the games and love competing with each other. But I think, for every one of the gaming communities, there are like 3 or 4 that are more economy driven, right? So they're more about when token, when land, when this and when that. And so we will be obviously introducing more about our economy and what's coming, what our plans with the token and whatnot very, very soon as well. But I mean, first and foremost, we want to showcase that, like you were saying in the beginning of the call, we are one of the few projects with a live game that people are enjoying. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on people that have been playing the game, and this is the first step, right, to show that, okay, as a Web3 gaming company, we're delivering a game. Now watch us deliver on the economy and this ecosystem, because this is just the appetizer to the main course to come.
I can honestly say I mean, Rubik and I have been doing this for a while. We don't see that this often. Usually it's usually backwards. Get the NFTs and the tokens out, and then give us 6 months to 12 months and we'll get you something out. So it's very refreshing to see a game and then be like, oh, so is there NFTs and their token? Oh yeah, there is, but those will come later. It's backwards and it's kind of nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for us. And to be fair, we did start as an NFT collection. So it's more like, okay, we started on the NFT side. We then went a full building mode. And we were able to have the means to build out the project and build out the team over the course of the past 2 years in the bear market, and now we want to show what we've been building, and that will open up to the kind of next wave of the ecosystem. I would say the biggest decision in hindsight that we made that affected our project is the fact that we didn't rush out a token, right? I think a lot of gaming projects that had a token launched during the last bull, they went through this whole cycle, seeing the token go down like 95 to 99%, and they were never able to recover from that, right? And so I think that was probably one of the better decisions that we've made, because if that had happened, I would say Chibi Clash as a project would be very different than what it is now.
Last question related to gameplay. Sorry to come back to that. Is the development, like, how big's your team? Are you able to go into that? What's planned for the development team? Is it expanding still, or you're at a happy spot now? And where are we at in terms of the development of, some of the more immediate plans that you've of game modes?
Yeah, so with game development, and this is something that I think would be interesting for you guys in the community as well. People kind of see teams as a number, right? As almost like a flex. Like some teams have 50 people, 70 people, 100 people. But as someone that's worked in the gaming space, and especially nowadays, I was down at GDC last week, and it was quite depressing for anything non-Web3, because a bunch of studios have laid off a lot of people because of AI, because games are so much more difficult to ship now. It's getting more and more difficult for games to be a hit, especially in the Web2 side of things, right? And so for us, we've always wanted to keep things relatively lean. And so for gaming studios, honestly, the best approach is you have your core team in-house, and then for things that are going to be more temp, let's say, okay, I need to have an art model, right? Or I need some, quick development for, a specific feature that, maybe our in-house devs don't handle well, then you can always outsource that. And so our structure is that we have in-house team of, I would say currently around like 14 people. And so that includes our client devs, so the people that are developing like the core gameplay, our server Web3 devs that also take care of some of the AI stuff, and of course our marketing and project team. So that's all in-house, but we also work with external art teams. We work with external marketing partners, and external team that helps us with our mobile game development. And so that's additional full-time headcount of like 10-ish on top of our internal team. And that number fluctuates based on our needs as well, right? So that gives you a bit of a kind of inside peek in terms of how things are structured. What we do need to switch things on and get a couple of extra developers, artists, product people to help out. We always have that because we have those relationships built up. Whereas other projects, like they're oftentimes finding themselves in like kind of desperation hiring mode because they just don't have the right expertise or the right people in the right positions, right? So I would say we're in a pretty good spot in terms of where we're at, both with our internal team as well as the partners that we're working with.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. We obviously we look at all Web3 games, but specifically we really watch the Immutable games. That's actually how we found out about you guys. You guys popped up on Immutable's radar, so we started digging into you, and we found out what a gem this is and how much fun it is to play. And we're doing all these tournaments in our community, and just having an absolute blast with it. How's your experience been with Immutable so far since coming over to them?
Yeah, so I was talking about how I was down at GDC earlier last week. So there was an Immutable party there. So I met up with a couple of the Immutable folks at the party, and yeah, I mean overall, going back to when I first had my my introduction to Immutable. So we were a Polygon project back at that time. I mean, we kind of still are. We have a collection on Polygon. And so it was this time last year that Polygon announced their partnership with Immutable for ZKVM. And so that was when I first had the conversations with Immutable, met the BD team. They all seemed like, good, passionate people that I would enjoy working with. So that kind of gave me the confidence to continue that conversation forward with Immutable. And so, yeah, it's been exactly a year. I would say I'm personally also very curious and excited to see where things go from here. Because right now, the ZKVM is kind of on this early access phase, right? But at the same time, there are so many gaming projects that have signed on to build with Immutable, and of course, Immutable has their first-party games as well. And so, initially, we thought that we were going to be one of the first ones that's kind of out. Introducing players to the Immutable ecosystem and Passport, which we actually have kind of delivered. And the next thing for us is really to see, okay, well, with so much like at stake here, and with so much hype building around the ZKAVM ecosystem, how is this going to kind of reshape how people see this Web3 gaming space, right? And so, being there physically, talking with some of the people, and as part of the Immutable team, they've been doing a lot of things behind the scenes, and they've been prepping a lot in anticipation for this big entry into the ZKAVM ecosystem and bringing the games into the new L2. So. For example, they announced a partnership with OKX. I think that's also exciting. And I've talked to a lot of the ecosystem partners that are also building on ZKAVM as well. So I would say, in short, it's just a lot of excitement brewing up to see where things are going from here. And there's just it's almost like building in something that. You have certain expectations for, and you don't know what to expect because things are still a bit of a work in progress, right? With that said,
I can help you there. I can help you there. I've been to the future. It's only about 6 months away, and it becomes very clear that Immutable is the king of gaming chains and is the number one ecosystem that with the most gamers, with actual real gamers playing it, and it breaks through this Web3 barrier and is the chain that unites gamers back to being one organization. So yeah, just you don't need to worry, mate, or be excited anymore. It's over. Just so you know. But also on a more serious note, I want to say one thing about the Immutable Passport. Like, the announcement that you're building on Immutable came with the ability to log in on Immutable Passport on that very day and start playing the game. I just want to give you a round of applause because like how many times do we get an announcement and 2 years later they still don't have a game? Like it's so brilliant to be able to just go, here, we're building on Immutable, and by the way, log in and start playing now with Immutable Passport. So thank you very much for being the first game that did that
sure.
in the whole entire ecosystem.
Yep.
And I appreciate that. That was actually a big goal for us, right? We wanted to come out and say that, we're not just making another PR announcement, because I think honestly, majority of the projects that are building our ecosystem are doing that. And I don't blame them too, because I think, projects, especially those that have raised capital, have a lot of pressure, right? Because they've set the bar, the expectations so high, and the valuations in which they raised that were also very, very high. And so, once you go out the door and you're able to deliver to those expectations, which honestly will be set to be very, very high, it's going to be a difficult challenge to overcome, right? And so for us, we want to come right out of the gate and say that, hey, we have a game ready, right? And to be frank, like I said, not everyone in this ecosystem, fully appreciates that. They're not used to having something that's already shipped on day one versus, I thought we were just speculating what's coming here, right? So, I think we try to also play both sides as well, right? Tease them or come out swinging with a game that people enjoy, but also to let people know that this is not all that is Chibi Clash. We are really happy with the game, and we're really happy with the praises that we've got for executing such a fun game on browser. And this is also a very strategic decision on our side, right? We didn't want to make people to have to download another client on like Epic or we just want people to just click on the website and start playing. So this is something that was a bit of a technical challenge to overcome in itself, but we were able to do so. The next step also is to introduce people to the rest of the ecosystem. And of course, once Immutable is ready to really start showcasing why all this effort was put into migrating everything into ZK AVM, and people start to see, okay, this is where the future is going to be, then I think we'll be in a good spot to show people that there's a reason why we're here.
What you've got a Chibi Clash token coming out soon. Is there anything you can tell us about that coming up?
Yeah, so this is probably the one question I have to be a little bit careful with my words on, because there is a lot of things that are in the works. So, I mean, what I can say definitely, I mean, this is kind of open alpha for those that pay attention. Obviously, we have mentioned many times that this is a play to airdrop campaign, right? And so there is a leaderboard for Survivor, and there are ways to accumulate kingdom points. So, very obviously, we want to reward those that have discovered us early and are actively engaging with our game and with our kingdom. So, these points will ultimately lead to airdrop that is related to our token launch. So, that's great news for everyone who is in this early. And with the token itself, it will tie very closely to the kingdom, right? And I think one of the things, a bit of a learning lesson, again over the course of the past 12 to 18 months, is that the meta changes. Right now everyone's talking about meme coin, and a lot of people have faith that the gaming meta will come again. And actually, I mean, it's kind of already here, right? When you look at the valuation of some of the gaming projects that have launched the token, like those valuations are massive, right? Heroes of Mavia is like 1.5 billion, and then Parallel and these other games. And so I don't look at those numbers and say, okay, this is what we're aiming for, but it's more like this is a representation of people are valuing gaming token projects if they're done well. And so I think it's really important for us to make sure that we communicate what we're trying to do. We're able to have a strong narrative and a strong marketing campaign to back the announcement and the launch of our tokens. So right now, a lot of things we're doing is, almost purposely passive, right? We don't want to, be out there, like we were saying, right? We're targeting the gaming community first, the people that actually enjoy the games, play the games, and that's why last week I was at GDC. We sponsored the Wolf Style House because that's also another community of true gamers that are playing and enjoying games, and people enjoy the heck out of Chibi Clash at that event as well. And so first and foremost, let the gamers get involved. And then, next step, eventually, when people see that, oh, this is a active community with a great game and a great game plan for what's to come, then start getting the when tokens, right? Letting people know that this is our token launch plan, this is what's coming, this is how the token's going to be part of the ecosystem, blah blah blah, and then that will all come, I would say, in a relatively short amount of time, because we've had this in the plans for quite a while, and we just want to make sure that our product is ready, that our kingdom is ready, our AI tech is ready, and I think we have all that lined up now. So the next thing is just, okay, so how are we going to execute this? So it's something that will be,
I really like the play to airdrop strategy where you're accumulating points. You don't have to worry about tokens. I think that's actually a pretty brilliant strategy. I am seeing some other people doing it, but like the fact that you guys are on it early like that's really good. And we usually don't talk about tokens a lot, but I heard that it was to be asked, so I thought I'd ask.
I mean, I even as a gamer myself, I gotta also check in to see when tokens are. So
yep.
No, I think we might go forward, start adding a fair bit more about tokens and NFTs into our chats, because they are like, as long as it's not the focus of our chat, I'm fine with it, because it's more about I'm game first. If I don't care about your token or your NFT if the game's shite. So now we're engaged in the game, I actually want to spend money on it because I really enjoy it, and I want to spend money because I enjoy it, and that's the way it should be, not buying NFTs because you're speculating that it's going to be worth more money in the future, or buying a token for the same reason. Maybe the token for that, but the NFT shouldn't be about making money. It should be about, I want to use it in the game because I like playing the game. So that's why I wanted to find out more about the token and the NFTs. What else have you got to tell us about the future for NFTs in the game?
Yeah, so one, I would say going beyond NFTs. Right? I think NFTs are pretty standard, and I actually really agree with the sentiment, and I wish the market was at that point, because this is the analogy that a lot of people make with Web3 gaming, right? It's like, imagine a CSGO skin, but you actually own it on chain, and you're able to trade it and sell it. But it doesn't always need to be things that are worth like a couple hundred, if not thousands of dollars, right? And I think that's still a problem with Web3 gaming, is that the assets still attract more speculators than traders. And it's also because the games themselves aren't attractive enough for people to be like, ooh, okay, I want the skin in the game, right? I would say a few games might have executed that, like the CCGs, like Gods Unchained, Parallel are probably the better examples, in that some people actually just spend money to buy packs because they want the cards to play. But other than that, there are very few examples of gamers that are buying NFTs because they really want that utility of the NFT, right? So I hope that we will be able to accomplish that as well. But for us, I think we want to also look at things in a high level, right? Like we want to embrace Web3. We want to bring in people that want to take part in the ecosystem. Honestly, like it's great that we hear all this great feedback for Survivor, but I think one of the things that is not talked about that often is the fact that there's hardly any games that are universally liked, right? Right now you see a lot of FPS games, right? I don't play FPS games because I suck at it. So
Me too.
yeah, I mean they look great, but it doesn't make me feel good that I'm getting headshot every time before I even like have my weapon ready,
Oh, I thought that was just me. I thought that was just me.
I creep up on people. I creep up on people from behind and start shooting them, and they turn around, shoot me, and kill me before I've killed them. Like every time. The saying is I couldn't hit a barn door with a shotgun. So yeah.
I'm the camper guy that everybody hates.
Yeah, maybe we should get an FPS server. It sounds like we're on the same level.
So tell us about your very near future of NFT. What's happening there?
Excuse me, cough's coming back. Yeah, so we definitely will be launching the items collection soon. But I think we're just finalizing the mechanics of how we plan to do that. But I think before that, again, beyond NFTs, one of the most exciting things that we're starting to tease is the kingdoms itself. So, excuse me, we do want to really emphasize the ability to take part in our ecosystem as owners of the kingdom, right? That everyone is sharing the same map, everyone is looking at these plots, and everyone will know that okay, I own a piece, if not many pieces of the kingdom, and I'm a warlord in this kingdom. So we're actually going to be announcing these mechanics. I would say sometime next month. Right now, as you guys can see, we just brought back Survivor. We brought in the egg hunt contest. So shortly following that, we'll probably be having some announcements in terms of what's next and what people can be expecting with the land.
Yeah, very cool stuff. We're getting into the end of this here. We got to have a little bit of fun with you before we head out. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and you give us your best one-word reaction. Are you ready to do this?
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Do you prefer to watch sports or esports?
Oh, that's a tough one. Esports.
Okay, esports. All right. So do you prefer to play sports or video games?
Video games.
All right. What's your favorite video game then?
Ooh, that's a tough one too. Right now, I would say Gran Turismo 7, just because I have the VR headset and the wheel, so I'm very much enjoying that immersive experience.
Oh wow, that sounds very, very interesting. Yeah. Are you a Messi or Ronaldo zealot? Which one?
I guess more messy.
Messi. Okay. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or PC? What's your favorite out of those?
Ooh, just based on the legacy, I would say PS.
PlayStation. No PC Master Race this time, Rubik. Sorry.
Not a real gamer.
I'm in the midst of converting. I actually got a very, very nice PC with 4090 video cards. So yeah, I'm enjoying some good PC gaming nowadays too.
You're about to discover the hashtag PC Master Race effect.
Oh yeah, I got my battle station, everything set up. Yeah, I'm heading towards the direction.
Nice. Next, books or movies? Which one do you like better?
Movies.
Movies? You got a favorite movie of all time or current?
Ooh, of all time.
Could be either or.
God. I'm trying to think. I mean, off the top of my head, this sounds cheesy, but when I was young, like Bloodsport was always on TV, so I always loved watching Bloodsport.
That was good. I like that one.
Is that Van Damme?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's ultimate. All right. Ferrari or Lamborghini? If you got to pick, which one?
Lambo.
Lambo.
When Lambo?
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Well, okay, right off the top of my head, Earl Grey, because I had that recently and it was very, very just hit the spot. It wasn't too sweet, so.
Is that like a vanilla type? I've never even heard of that.
I mean, it's basically if you go to a gelato place, right? They have a lot of different flavors, but this one that I go to has a nice light Earl Grey. I mean, basically, you can make ice cream with or gelato with like any flavor, basically,
Okay.
right? So it's like Earl Grey tea, basically.
Interesting. Okay, I'll have to look for that. All right, and our favorite, our most infamous, our most diabolical, but our most fun question. One word to describe Elon Musk.
The brain starts to twist.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first word that came out of my mind is innovative. I do believe that.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. We have a range of answers on that one. Good, controversial, fun. It's a good one. But last question here: video game that popped your cherry. This is like the one that you always remember that just really got you hyped about gaming. Which one was that?
Final Fantasy 3. Yeah, that's the one that
Nice.
always popped on top of my head, and that's funny. like when you talk to people, that's always the conversation started. Like if they remember the experience from like Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 7, and they're like, wow, and they still remember so vividly, like like moments from the game. That just came up from a conversation from this weekend as well.
Yeah, I agree. I still remember Final Fantasy, like when they would go to do like a power move, and it would be like a 3-minute power move of graphics to do just epic damage, and I remember that very well from playing those games. Good stuff. But yeah, you did really well on those questions. Great job. Any follow up on that, Rubik?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to go into last couple of questions. First of all, what would you need to achieve for you to consider Chibi Clash a success?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say, in a sense, it's already a success in my eyes because of the feedback that we've gotten from the players, right? And as someone that's been in the gaming industry for a long time, it's very difficult to launch a successful game because it's costly, takes a lot of marketing, takes a lot of word of mouth, and so many things can go wrong throughout the production process to launch process. Servers can go down and so many things can go wrong, right? So I mean, just reaching this point is already kind of a pat on the back. Okay, you know what, we've accomplished something, right? But of course, we want to be able to get this out to as many people as possible. So we want this to be a talk about game. We want Chibi Clash to be a game where if I'm attending Twitter Spaces, live events, I introduce myself. I'm saying that I'm part of the Chibi Clash project, or even as our collectors, right? Actually, this is something that would mean even more to me. If one of our early collectors, community members tell people that, oh, I was a Chibi Clash supporter since day one, people will respond to them in a way that, wow, I can't believe you got in early, right? Kind of like a early supporter of Pixels, for example. Like that would make me extremely proud of what we've accomplished.
Cool.
Awesome. Anything else you want to throw in there that maybe we missed or that you would like to end on today?
No, I think we actually covered quite a bit. I mean, great questions, great speaking with you guys. And I would say for us, just kind of reiterating what I was talking about with kingdoms and what we want to do with AI. AI gets thrown out a lot as a bit of a fluff word, right? And for us, we've been deep diving into AI basically since GPT-3 came out. I think just like with Web3, inspired a lot of people to dig into the space because it opened up the doors for a lot of things that can potentially be built that otherwise could not have been built before, right? So, I personally feel that Gen AI, like large language models, they're going to be a game changer. I mean, they're already changing the game in terms of how companies approach game development, approach marketing, approach a lot of things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. But in terms of applying it to gaming experiences, I think we're still in the kind of early stages of what Gen AI can do. And so, yeah, I think this is a space that I would personally recommend everyone to keep an eye out for. I think there's so much innovation to be done, and there's a lot of the sci-fi films. I mean, I talk about I like Bloodsport, but one of my favorite genres is sci-fi, right? And so you get inspired by a lot of these sci-fi films and what a futuristic world can be if AI started to do things more autonomously, have its own intelligence, can learn. And this is something that I actually want to be able to apply to Chibi Clash as a project as well, right? Well, how can we use AI to take these gaming experiences to the next level? So yeah, it's something that we'll be talking more and more about over time. We're not going to outright say that Chibi Clash is an AI project, but I'm definitely not shying away to tell people that we're making full use of AI to enhance these gaming experiences as much as we can.
Awesome. Rubik, any final thoughts before we head out today?
I just want to say thanks to Wago for coming on the show and being a really great chat, learning about one of our community's passions at the moment. And yeah, so it's a bit unique that we're talking with you and playing the game quite extensively at the same time. Like normally it's about something coming out in the future. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting chat and enjoyable. Thanks for your time today, mate.
Yeah, likewise. Really much enjoyed this chat as well.
Yeah, I like to double down on what he said. We're having an absolute blast playing it in our little Discord community, which is growing quite fast, by the way. If you're not in it, just definitely jump in the Gamers Galaxie community and get involved in our tournament going on live now. Chibi Clash, Chibi Clash. Love it, love the game. It is just so addicting. It's so easy to play too. That's the other thing, is it's just pick it up and play. No complex learning curve. Just get involved and get those points. And I love the play to airdrop theme you got going on, and I can't wait to see what comes next, and we are super excited. I highly recommend everybody checking out Chibi Clash. They're on X, YouTube. If you need some help, hit us up and we will get directed in the right direction to get some chibi in your life. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everybody take care. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.